The Spanish built the first lasting fortifications in the Pensacola area in 1698. They built it near the mouth of Pensacola, and it was called Fort San Carlos, which is down here, the white section of the fort that you see below me. Across the bay, you can see in the very distance Fort Pickens, and Fort Pickens was later built at the same time that Fort Barrancas was built here next to Fort San Carlos. After Fort San Carlos was built by the Spanish, the French came and occupied it for some time, and then the English came, and then of course the Americans. And the Americans built Fort Barrancas here as part of a defense system along with Fort McRae and Fort Pickens. It's a very interesting history that we have here. This section of the fort is right next to the dry moat. There's a dry moat that surrounds the main part of the fort. And what's interesting is if infantry were able to come into the fort and be able to penetrate there in the dry moat area, they'd suffer heavy casualties. You can see where riflemen could train their guns and shoot into the moat, where they might have difficulty, the people that are in the moat, firing back, because they have an easy angle to go this way, but not an easy angle to come in. Very interesting how they built this fort. A lot of bricks too. This portion of the fort was built in 1698. There's not very many places that are that old in the southeastern part of America. This is the Spanish portion of the fort, as I mentioned earlier. Further higher above is Fort Barrancas, which was built by the Americans. You know, in this Where I Live video series where I talk about the history of different places, it's really intended to be a teaser. I want you to come visit these different places because there is a lot of neat things to see, a lot of neat history. So I encourage you, come to Fort Barrancas and see the history that is under our feet. I'm Rob of Rob Brooks Realty, and this is Where I Live.